What is going on? Today we are starting a new series called What the Heck is That? And what the series is going to be is I'm going to say what I think something is. In this case, our first topic is NFTs. I'm going to rattle off what I believe an NFT is. Then I'm going to do some research, find out what it actually is. Then we're going to see how we can make money from these things. So to start, here's what I think an NFT is. From what I know, an NFT is a non-fungible token, fungible, Fungible, fungible token, and its benefit is that it has technology, I think it's called cryptographics or something like that, that is able to determine who the original owner is. And the benefit of that is if you make an NFT and you mint it, which I'm not sure what that means. I think that means it's like officially an NFT, you've officially made it yours, or you've made it into something that can be on a specific NFT marketplace, and you sell it to somebody else, you can continue to get royalties every time somebody sells it. So if you make an NFT and you sell it for 20K and then that person sells it for 40K, you retain 20% of the next sale or something like that. So that way it's always a residual income. That's my thought process on what an NFT is. Why it's valuable, I have a few thoughts on. My first guess as to why it's valuable, one, perception, of course. If people deem something as valuable, then of course it will be valuable. It's like trading something. If you're thirsty in the Sahara Desert, then obviously that water is going to be much more valuable to you than if you're not. It's kind of like baseball cards. Imagine if you sold a rookie Babe Ruth to somebody, but you got to retain royalties every time it got passed. I could see that valuable commodity. The other thing I think is why NFTs are valuable is this transition into the metaverse, where there is going to be another separate virtual world. For example, you want to buy real estate next to Snoop Dogg. When you walk into somebody else's virtual house and you see their painting of an NFT or whatever this NFT is hanging up on a wall, that's going to give you some sort of clout of, this is cool. Look what they have, a sign of status. Now, the process of making one, I'm not entirely sure. It seems like you can turn a photo, a JPEG, into an NFT, but I'm not entirely sure the process. I think that's what the minting is all about. That's my understanding of what an NFT is. That's my understanding of how you make money. You can sell them and you can receive residuals, and it's a sign of status. It can give you some status clout in the NFT game. So from here, I'm going to spend some time researching what an NFT is, how it makes money, and then we'll try it. And we'll get into it. Hey, it's me again. I haven't done the research yet, but I've changed my clothes. The other thing I wanted to say about NFTs real quick is what my impression as an investment is. My current impression of NFTs as an investment is what I would categorize in the 90-10 rule. 90% of your investments should go into relatively safe investments like real estate and index funds, and the other 10% should be play investments. I would consider NFT a play investment because there really is no track record of it being successful. Do I believe in the future of this technology? I do think it's going to continue to evolve. However, is it a wise investment? Should you put your money into NFTs? I don't believe so. I don't think for a long-term investor who wants to grow a wealth that is almost guaranteed, NFTs probably isn't the way to go. However, can you make money from it? I'm sure you can. Do most people not? I'm sure that's likely. Press loves to show the success stories of the impossible, right? Like the $600,000 NFT that sells. Those are great stories. You don't hear about the guy that lost $60,000 because he bought an NFT that tanked, right? So I wanted to say that before I started the research. What is going on? We are back after about a week or so of doing research. I think I'm on day 5 or 6, and boy, do I have to say, this is a very exciting time. NFTs. I was not all that far off in my original prediction about what they are. However, there's still so much more that I need to uncover now that I know it. So to start, what are NFTs? Let me try to break them down. Non-fungible tokens, but what does that even mean? And why is it important? Non-fungible tokens essentially just means this thing cannot be replaced. This thing is unique.
This is a unique thing. Each of these NFTs have this identifier stating that this thing is the one true unique thing. And the reason this is important is because now, for the first time ever in all of internet history, we have the ability to prove ownership of something. We can prove ownership of a digital asset, meaning that the internet, which is so vast, full of infinite resources, it feels like, we can now find scarcity on it. There can now be a limited amount of things to drive up cost, drive up price. And as we know, the fundamental piece between transactions, when we make a transaction and we sell things, is it's transferring ownership from one party to another. And previously, we've never been able to define ownership with digital assets. However, NFTs are making that possible. Now, NFTs are built on a technology called the blockchain. I think that's probably outside the scope of this video, but just in a quick summation, there's all these computers that know all of the transactions, and they're all constantly verifying that, this person has the amount of cryptocurrency they say they have. So when they send it to this other party, we can all verify that it's being transferred to this other party. That's essentially it. Maybe we'll do a more in-depth deep dive on here at some point. There's many different kinds of NFTs, but I'm going to cover the three largest that we're kind of seeing right now, and also how people are using them and how we can kind of use them in the time to come. So this is kind of one of the most famous examples of the high-end art NFTs. There's NFTs that are just like any other art that you would hang up in your home, except now you can prove that you are the only one that owns this piece of art. And as you can see, this one went for $69 million. And I feel like this was kind of part of that beginning craze in 2020 where people were like, NFTs, what the heck? Why is this $69 million piece of art getting, bought and sold? And so that's the first one, is high-end art. Next, we can go on to Twitter and we're going to see NFTs like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, where it's all about the profile pictures and the communities, and why this type of NFT is important, and why I believe this is kind of the NFT that is being flipped the most, and we're seeing the most people get into them and make money, is for this reason. The NFT is proof that you have this digital asset that allows you to be part of this community. And putting it as your profile picture for them is kind of making this claim that, one, you're in this community, and two, you're building awareness of the community that you're in. So if you have this NFT, part of this community that gives you specific benefits. So let's say the Bored Ape Yacht Club, I'm pretty sure they get to go on yachts. Let's just say they do. One of the benefits of this community could be when you buy this NFT and you are in the community, you get to go on a yacht, and you're now able to network with the other elite that are in this community. So that's one of their benefits. Each of these communities provides a unique benefit to the people that purchase their NFTs. So the question becomes, well, how do they raise up in value, and how do you flip them? So with each of these communities having their own unique thing, albeit technology or albeit physical benefits or community benefits, if you get in early enough, so let's say the Bored Ape Yacht Club, when you got in at $1,000 or like a fraction of an ETH, but then you see these NBA stars tweeting about the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and there's only 10,000 of these specific NFTs that are made, that's going to drive all of this value, all of this attention, all of this perceived value of this thing, and raise it. So that $1,000 to be part of this community is now $150,000 because you want to sit next to Steph Curry on a yacht or something like that, which kind of bleeds into the next category. The next category is gaming. So you can actually own your NFT and play games with this specific NFT that you own, you fully own. And the more you advance in this game, the more rare and the more valuable your NFT becomes, because the higher up you are in this game, the more perceived value there is, and thus you can make money that way. Like, imagine if at the beginning of the Fortnite craze, Ninja had an NFT that he owned, and he had this crazy sick character that had all these special and rare things that maybe less than 100 other people had in the world. That would make it a really valuable NFT that people would seek to have. That's kind of it in a nutshell. One of the other things that I kind of want to talk about how this is distributed across multiple industries, as we've seen the NBA do a heck of a job just creating NFTs for their sports fans to get big plays as an NFT, and you can own that play, which is wild. I mean, I still think there is a degree to this that is unfounded. Like somebody comes over and you're going to show them an NFT on your computer, like that's okay. That's not the cool part about this. The cool part about this is the technology that you own that thing and we can prove it. That's the cool part about it. And the mere fact that since it's a technology that can be built upon, you can continue to add more things to it. It's not this static thing. It can increase in value. But back to the industry things, what we're seeing with music, we can see kind of how it's disrupting things. Like there's potentially no longer a need for labels if money can be raised through NFTs to get artists off the ground and being able to afford their own tours and things like that, while also giving, similar to how a Kickstarter works, as they're saying, you buy into this idea and then you end up getting returns back. That's how it can also work. Even I could even see it considered as like, what if Lil Wayne makes an album cover that is purchasable and he makes 10,000 of them, 10,000 NFTs, all unique, different album covers. And if you purchase one of his, it grants you access into 3 concerts. It could also increase in value. You can also sell it if you don't want to go to all 3, all of those things. Yeah, and then I can also see it in film where, what if you owned a piece of one of the iconic scenes like in Django when Leo hurts his hand, and you have that NFT of him who hurt his hand, or imagine Star Wars, all of that memorabilia and collector's items that could have been an NFT that early on. I just think it's fascinating, and I think we're going to see this technology continue to adapt, and I still think we are still in the very early stages of NFTs. So answering my question, do I think it's in the 90-10%, the 90 or the 10% of how you should allocate your investments, 90% being in index funds and real estate and 10% being in play investing and playing around? I would say yes, it's still probably in the 10% right now, just because it is really risky. I have looked into ways where you can kind of have a better idea of how to buy and flip them. However, there's a risk flipping anything, especially in something that's such a new space like this. However, I do think there's so much money to be made. Now, all that being said, I feel like I've explained it. I have 2 more things that I'd like to say. One of them being this. Let me switch my screen. This is from a blog post. There's been some what feels like misconceptions as to the blockchain, Ethereum, Bitcoin mining for cryptocurrency being bad for the environment. Like there's been a big, I don't want to say a propaganda push, because I still, as you know, I'm only 5 to 6 days deep into this research. This is still kind of my opinion. One of the misconceptions that I've seen is its damaging effects on our environment. And this is, a pie chart of the total CO2 distributed by 2017. And you can clearly see that this is such a small percentage in comparison to how the rest of the world is having its effect on these things. So I think some of this is quite frankly blown out of proportion, and we're mining for coins and things like that. Yet I've never seen anybody complain about the factories that are generating all of the money and chopping down trees to make paper money as well. To die on the hill that this is bad for the environment, it's tough to say. Also, this is still so new. As time continues, technology only gets more efficient, and I can only imagine that if anything, if there is an uptick in how this is affecting our environment, there will soon be a downtick as well. So what do I have to say about this? I have a couple ideas. First idea is next week, of course, we should put this to the test and try to do the following 2 things: make an NFT and buy an NFT. So first, we're going to try to buy an NFT because I feel like that's a straightforward process and I can show that. And the second one is make an NFT. That I'm less sure of. Of course, I know how to go from art, making the art and all that stuff, but I have no idea how to equip it or program it with that unique identifier, the token that is saying this is an original one piece kind of deal, and even how to make so many of them. People are pumping out thousands at a time to say there's 10,000 of these items, and only 10,000. The other thing that I didn't get to mention, I don't think, is there's only 300,000 like MetaMask wallets, which proves to me that this is still pretty dang early on. If you listen to the podcast, you might remember when Alex Sanfilippo came on and he talked about how it's really important to have this serve this narrow audience of people, and that's why podcasting was such a good route for him. But only 300,000 people, that seems like an incredibly niche market, and right now it's popping. That community is popping, and I still think it's early on. So that's this week's video. I hope I covered enough. Next week we'll buy one and we'll see how it goes.